I've been saying for years that comparison is a thief of joy, and I'm going to backtrack because I don't actually think that is true. Hello, and welcome back to Bitch You Can. Hi, hello, how are ya? I hope you are well. Not gonna lie, it's a little bit chilly. The wind is out this week, but as I've come up here dressed for winter, I'm now a little bit warm with the lighting. And who's calling me? Mother. Is that my mum? I don't know who that is. Airplane. I thought it's on airplane mode. How is somebody calling me? What? If you've been watching me on Instagram this week, you would have seen I posted a bit of a vulnerable reel. I showed my body without the posing and without putting it in its best light. And that was actually really hard. It was quite a hard hitting. I've always been really self-conscious of my stomach, as we know, through not very nice relationships and being referred to as starving Ethiopian because I was skinny with a pot belly and having endometriosis and just having a pelvic tilt and just being a normal fucking woman. Like, my womb's there. Of course, not going to be washboard. I don't live in a deficit. I don't starve myself. Even when I did starve myself, I still somewhat had a little pouch. I've had 2 fucking kids, like, whatever. So last week I had a really tough week mentally. Lute's always coming up and that always has me in a chokehold, you know, when I'm actually thinking, am I actually depressed? Like, do I even want to do anything I'm doing? Am I a good enough person? Am I worthy? Am I a good mum? Am I a good friend? Am I a piece of shit? Oh my god, and then I realized, it's Lutal. Okay, cool, thank you. But on a serious note, I had to dig deep last week. I had some serious body dysmorphia issues and body image issues where I'm looking at myself and I'm thinking, what the fuck? And then I started questioning, do I belong in the fitness space? Because look at me. Like, how horrible is that? And you know me, I'm Mrs. Positivity and I'm like, love yourself, talk to yourself like that. I have not had those feelings to my own body in the longest time, and it was really pissing me off because I couldn't quite fathom as to why, and it hit me why that was happening. Because I'm spending more time on Instagram again, which, you know, I come away from it for a few months and it felt liberating, I can't lie to you. But I've been spending more time on there and I found myself back in an old habit of I've been scrolling more, I've been looking at research, I've been looking at people, I've been following people in the fitness space, and I found myself comparing myself to others. And this is a natural thing we all do. And if you've been following me through all these different seasons I've had, ADHD, you know, no matter what, I've always said comparison is the thief of joy. I could not shake this comparison feeling. I realised the Huns I was comparing myself with, and I don't mean this just in a nasty way, those Huns don't even look like the Huns. Like, they don't even look like them. The pictures they're posting, they don't even look like them. Like, not taken away because that is their body, but that's their body posed. That's their body in good lighting. That's the best possible angle of 20 million pictures that they've taken. And that's the best possible one. That's not their body moving. That's not their body sitting down, standing up. That's not their body after a meal. That's not their body through hormones. That is their body in the most, you know, in the way that they want you to see it. And I'm not taken away from that because I'm still going to show up showing some posy pics, of course, because I want to show you my quadzillas coming through. I made frickin' biceps, you know. But I realised something, that I'm comparing myself to a snapshot of people. And it wasn't until I come across this girl who showed herself posed and she looked fucking ripped to shit. And then she relaxed and she looked like me. Normal body. Her belly wobbled. She had stretch marks. She was bloated. Her quads weren't always defined. Her shoulders weren't always defined. She had a normal body. And I thought, you know what? You're a fucking icon and thank you. Like, I sat there and I welled up and I was like, thank you, thank you, thank you. I needed that. And it got me thinking, shit, if I feel like how I've been feeling this week because of what I'm seeing on social media, what's my part to play in this? Like, what part am I playing in this? Is my content making people feel shit? Because I'm only showing you when I'm posed in the gym. I'm not showing you my body relaxed in shitty lighting, running on the beach, or I'm not showing you any of that. And I really had to dig deep and go, fuck me, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? And I will not play a part in, you know, I'm not going to play a part in doing that to people, because I've always shown up as me. I've shown up with my hair on the side of my head, no makeup, you know, fucking swearing, being my authentic self. And I fought tooth and nail to be comfortable doing that. And I think that's why recently, if I'm honest, I felt a bit of friction, because, you know, I'm battling with myself, and I kept thinking, is this just loot, or is there a deeper meaning here? Like, I'm battling with myself in terms of how I look. Do I look like I actually should be? Do I look like I even go to the gym? And this is a conversation we're having. Look, do I even look like I go to the gym? Do I look like I'm just trying to squeeze myself into these gym sets? Am I enough to be in this space? And I sat back and I thought, you silly little bitch, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're ripping yourself apart for what? And that's me being completely honest, because you know me, I'm honest, and I will never hide behind something. As soon as I have that realization, you know, at the time I thought I am showing up, I'm helping women, I'm boosting them up, I'm doing motivational stuff, I'm doing this podcast, I've got my girlies, I hype them up every week, and I, you know, I'm giving tips, I'm giving this and that and motivation on my page, but it's not enough. It's not enough, and I'm going to do better. So from now on, you're going to see not just posed pics, but relaxed pics too, because it's so important that we be authentic. I think about my daughter, and I think the world we grew up, like Bridget Jones, and I circle back to like the models, the magazines, you know, all these different things that we grew up with, where normal bodies were not seen anywhere. Like, it has got better, don't get me wrong, but I also think it's got worse because of the how accessible it is to be on social media, and you can spend hours just scroll and just fucking compare yourself to everybody else. Whereas obviously when we're growing up, I guess we can just turn the telly off or shut the magazine. Now we're walking around with it in our pocket, in our hand continuously, and especially if you're using it for work and etc, etc. But anyway, and I thought, it's happening again. You can buy skinny, and I'm not shitting on anyone that does the jabs. It's really not good, if I'm honest with you, because like I said, I know a lot of people, especially because I was in the aesthetic space, and obviously actually a couple of our clients combined, me and Luke. There's nothing wrong with the jabs if you are clued up and, you know, you actually require them, and they can be a great tool. But there's also a lot of mental shit that comes with it, and skinny is celebrated. And it's wild to me. So I just thought, I gave myself a hard fucking look in the mirror, and I thought, no, if you're feeling like this from people's content, how are people feeling from your content that you're putting out there? And I'll be damned if I'm going to bring my daughter up, you know, feeling the ways I did growing up. Like, a lot of my body issues is because of how we were brought up to shame our bodies, and I'm not going to do that to my daughter or yours. So that was the change. But anyway, so let's get into actual comparison as to why I've come to this. So I've always said comparison is a thief of joy, and it was actually my coach that, because I said to him, look, this is what's going on, like, feel like this, but I'm getting myself out of it, and I just realised comparison is a thief of joy, because I'd done that reel, and I was like, let's fucking, like, social media ain't real. And he's like, I'm going to stop you there a moment, and he opened my mind up so fucking much. He said comparison isn't the thief of joy. He said your interpretation of it, maybe, but comparison isn't. He said to have gratitude, you need comparison. And at first I thought, what's this fucker on about? And he said, you know, for you to because one of my gratitudes was like, I'm so grateful for the life I've built, and I'm not in that toxic, shitty office like how I was 6 years ago, whatever it is now. And that, you know, I have this life and I built that. And he said, that's comparison. You've had to compare yourself to yourself nearly a decade ago. You know, look at how actually we use comparison in day to day. And I sat and I thought, oh wow, okay, right, yeah. And again, what is it? It all fucking comes back to you and how you internalize things, how you choose to take things, how you actually move through life. And isn't there something so liberating about that you get to choose that? Like I get to choose what I'm looking at and if I'm going to compare myself to it or not in a negative way. Or I get to think, okay, I'll use that to inspire myself for me. Do you know what I mean? So I digested all of this, and as what I've come to realise is comparison is not good or bad. It's a tool. It is simply a tool to be used, but how it is used is up to you. So now, like when I think about my confidence now compared to back then, or I think about my life now compared to then, I think of myself in those times where I was in such a dark place where I didn't think I'd ever be able to have children, and now I have children. My business journey that I've been on, where I was, where I am now, the healing, where I was, where I'm going, where I've been, where I am, that is all comparison. I've had to compare all of that, and even my body, right? You know, I looked back at photos of when I really started about in February time after the event, and I started, right, now it's time to get back into me and really smash back into the gym. Even looking at those photos to my photos now, that's a comparison, but you see how it was a positive comparison, because then I actually see the changes in my body. And not just that, I see the changes in my health, the changes in my mood, besides Lutal. I see the changes in my, you know, even my resilience, the way I push my body every fucking week in the gym, my patience with the children because I'm pouring into me. I've had to compare to come to that realization. I've had to compare all those things. Without comparison, I wouldn't be able to lift myself up. So it's not about comparing to shame yourself. It's about comparing to honor your journey, as the comparison to your past is what creates your gratitude. Let's flip it around for when the comparison that I've always compared to as the comparison is a thief of joy. Because I've never looked at it from that outside perspective, right? Every day is a school day and that's what I love. But the comparison we are used to, the comparison that we see as the only comparison we take note of at the moment, and I was doing this as well until this week, is the comparison where we're comparing our body to someone else's on Instagram. But in reality, we're comparing the body we see every day in every single light, every single movement, every single angle. We're comparing that to somebody's one photo where they are deciding that's what you're going to see because that's the best version of them. Again, I'm not taking away, because those people that, unless they're editing or it's ChatGPT or AI or whatever, or they're editing it, then you can fuck off. I don't want to know about that. But because that's just wrong in my opinion. I don't think that people should be doing that because it's so fucking damaging. Like, so damaging. Like, editing apps, I don't use them. And that's not me being like, hey, I don't use them. And, you know, I'm all for if you want to edit to make you feel good about yourself. I wish you didn't have to do that, because I wish let's dig into your relationship with you and figure out why, and let's learn to fucking love you. It's so difficult because I don't want to, like, rock the cart. I don't want to lick anyone's ass. I do want to stand firm in my beliefs on this. I think you have to be very mindful of what you're putting out there. Again, think of the future generation. Because if you're editing and you don't actually look like that, whilst, yes, you may feel better, why are you feeling better? Why don't you dig into why you feel the need to do that? Let's look at that rather than you always, because you're just going to make yourself feel more shit every time you look at yourself. Like, again, being in aesthetics, I saw this time and time again. How many girls came into clinic and said, I want to look like this? It's a picture of them with Facetune and they're showing me the before and after. And I'm like, sorry, that's surgery. That ain't realistic. What do you mean? And it's like wild to me. It really is wild. Like, don't get me wrong. There's things sometimes when I take a picture, I think, oh, Christ, like, might have a big old spot, or, you know, in the past, like, I might think, oh my gosh, I look like the moon. Be very mindful and be very careful, because, again, the future generations watching, and I just think we all have a part to play, and it all starts with us at the end of the day. Because why is it you're editing? Because you feel shit about yourself, because you're comparing yourself to all these other people online who are also editing or showing you their best version. So then you're comparing and you don't feel adequate enough to show up as you. And I hate to say it, but that's actually a you problem. Like, you need to work on that and your relationship with you first. Because if you then do the same thing, it's a fucking knock-on effect and everyone's going to do it. And then that's when we're seeing these really sad statistics. Studies are showing like girls as young as 11 are dieting. Like, no, can we pack it in? It's just so sad. And like eating disorders are back on the up. It's a lot. So yeah, anyway, I feel just very strongly about this. We're comparing our chapter 3 to someone else's chapter 30. We're comparing our behind the scenes shit to, like, even as a parent, when you see parenting on Facebook or Instagram or social media, and you start thinking, fuck me, like, I must be a terrible mother because, oh my God, look at what they're doing with their kids, all these things, all these arts and crafts, all these fucking whole kumbaya, lovey, lovey, lovey. And there's me, like, literally ripping my hair out at 8 a.m. because my kids are hurling Weetabix at each other, and then I tell them, fucking get your shoes on, shut up, and then, oh my God, am I a horrible mother, I'm giving them trauma, oh my God. Like, even that comparison, like, we're always comparing to someone's highlight reel. We don't see what goes on behind closed doors with them, we're just seeing what they want us to see. And that's where we need to really be mindful, because what we're doing is we remove the context in between. We're comparing us over here to them over here, but there's no context in between. And that's a really dangerous place to be. So this is something I have spoken about multiple times, and this is something I actually spoke about on the stage at Activated, the event. You have the power. Of course, everything comes back to you have the power. You are the creator, and it's not as easy as said than done. I understand that. It takes practice. It takes time. It takes resilience. It takes you keep reminding yourself, keep pouring into you. It takes you, distraction, come back. It takes practice. It does take time. It's not overnight. But once you realize this, it's really interesting. So one of my favorite things, an example of, you choose when you get offended. So say somebody says something, like, it could be on fucking Facebook, you know, the residential watch. Somebody says something, you're fucking annoyed. That's offensive. You have offended me. No. You're choosing to be offended. You are choosing for that person to portray something out. You are choosing to be offended. They've not decided to offend you. You are deciding to be offended. And I know that sounds like, Amy, what the fuck are you on? Like, shut up. But it's your choice what you are offended by. Why is that offending you? Let's dig into that rather than just react and blow off the handle because you're offended. You get to decide if it offends you. Again, it's like a muscle. It needs growth. It needs practice. It's a hard thing to rewire. It's like with the trauma. So for me, with my trauma, I carried that for 15 years. The trauma itself was not my fault. What happened to me was not my fault. But how I carried it, how I moved on in life, how I went day to day, that was my responsibility. Every day I gave it power. That was me. That's not up to the trauma or the people involved. Yes, what happened was shitty. Yes, that is not my responsibility, not my fault. That was not my choice. But how I chose to carry it, manifest it, how I chose to be reactive to it, again, not easy. But it was my choice, my power every day. That was up to me to carry it and reignite the fire. Someone else's success, if you're comparing yourself to someone else who's having success, their success isn't what's making you feel inadequate. The story you're telling yourself is what's making you inadequate. Do you see where I'm going with this? And so why is comparison any different? The way we choose to compare, that is on us. If we want to just use comparison for negative and brand it like I have for the last however many years as the comparison is a thief of joy as the only thing, that's on us. That is on us. Yes, I still agree with my statement that comparison in the wrong way is the thief of joy, because it is. Like, it thieves us. Like, you know, you hit a PB in the gym and you feel good and, you know, you feel really great, and then you compare yourself to someone else's PB, but they might have been training 10 years longer than you. Do you know what I mean? Or someone's successful business, they might have just opened up a shop and you're like, what the fuck? What about me? Again, you don't know how many times they've tried to open a shop. You don't know how many times they've been bankrupt. You don't know how many times they've had bailiffs on their doors to get them to this point. You know, it's just so many variables. Again, it's all through the story we tell ourselves. And that's why it's so powerful that we hold the power. We get to we get to decide, we get to choose. That was two I was trying to combine. What offends us, what we compare ourselves to, what we carry, what we manifest, what we create. We decide that. And I know it's a hard pill to swallow, but we decide it. Because at the end of the day, everything comes down to energy or matter. Nothing has power until you give it meaning. So you decide which level of the spectrum it gets. If the meaning is positive or the meaning is negative. That's in your power. That's on you. So I want you to start reframing it. Instead of looking over at people going, why don't I have what she has? Start looking as, fuck me, she's showing me what's possible. If it is a body comparison, it's like, okay, let me just zoom out a sec. I'm not taking away from she looks fucking mint. But actually, if I put myself in that lighting and I tilt and I do this, I probably can look better than what I look like sat down staring at my stomach after a Chinese takeaway in my sweatpants. It's just giving it context. Stop removing the context and getting into this negative mindset. Let's give it context. Let's zoom out. Let's actually, again, let's fuel ourselves. Let's love ourselves. Let's rewire and strengthen this connection. This connection right here is all that matters, because your outlook on life is derived with what's within. So if you wake up every day and you think, fuck everyone, today's a shit day, they've got what I want, nothing goes right for me, why do they get that? You're going to live a negative, sheltered life and you're not going to feel good about yourself. You wake up every day and you're like, okay, today I have done this in comparison to last week where I did that. So this is an improvement. Or, you know what? Whilst there's no drastic improvement, I'm still showing up. That's improvement of last year. Or, you know what? I don't have that right now, but she's showing me it's fucking possible. So I know I can do that. I need to show up. I need to do this. I need to be the version of me that I know is worthy and deserves it. Because I am worthy and I deserve it. So I'm going to show up as my best possible self. So instead of punishing yourself for comparison, let's just use it as inspiration. So Healing Girl homework, I want you to think about a comparison. It could be one from today. It could be one from last week. It could be maybe one you're going to do tonight. Who knows? But I want you to think of some form of comparison that you have in your mind. So I want you to ask yourself, what story did I create about myself because of that comparison? Then after that, I want you to ask yourself, is that actually true? Is that a true context? Is that a true story? Is that reality? And let's zoom out for a sec. I'm going to reframe it today. Comparison did not steal your joy. The meaning you attach to it did. Choose a different meaning. Compare backwards. Celebrate forwards. And stop using someone else's journey as evidence that yours isn't enough. Because I promise you it is. And why is it? Because, bitch, you can. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you so much. I know that was a bit of a hard listen, because if you made it this far, I love and appreciate you. I know it's a hard listen because there's some home truths in there that don't sit very nice, because it is a hard one to swallow when you start thinking, hang on a minute, you're telling me every negative feeling I felt in my life is my fault. I don't want you to look at it like that. I want you to look at it as, fuck, I get to decide. Oh my God, I'm having a bad day. I get to decide if I'm changing it. I find myself in a comparison hole. I get to decide how I feel. Use it as power. That you are the creator and you get to decide. Like I said, it's not easy. I'm not saying it is, because otherwise everyone would just do it like that, wouldn't they? And like none of us would feel this way. It ain't easy, but it's worth it. And I promise you, with practice, you will get there. And you will see the world, yourself, everything in such a different light and such a lighter manner. And you will have the most growth that you've ever had, both internally, externally, mentally, physically, spiritually, whatever journey you are on. Please share this with anybody you feel that needs it. Please like, rate and subscribe, because it really helps the honey out and spread this message out to more women, because we rise together in numbers. And as always, hit me up on Instagram on at Amy Activated Coaching, or bitch you can without the I. As always, I'll see you in the next one. Love you, bye.